Okay, well, a Bessey sequence of order 32 is a long sequence. So something like this may be best to set up ahead of time. What it would look like if you actually follow my recommendation here, it's not completely unmanageable. You could do it. Because the spectator will just think you're writing down the identities of the cards. They won't know that you're grouping them in a special way. So we just need 32 random cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2. Okay, I believe that's 32 cards. Okay, so it's getting to be kind of big here, okay? So I do encourage you to watch my performance dealing with Bessey Sequences of 32. It's probably a more manageable routine than what I'm suggesting right here, but that routine and this one have the same surprisal value. What I'm going to try to do here is fan these out so that we can see all of the cards. Okay, can we see them all? Barely, maybe. Okay. Wow. Yep. They're kind of hard to display in this tiny little space here. I think you can technically see all of them now. Okay. So with our Bessey structure of order 32 up above, a person would, and we can just start here. We have a 1, 0, 0, 1. So this is viewed as a 1. So this would go into like a one grouping. And that grouping would consist of this card, okay, and now you skip over here, skip those two, and then pick up the Jack of Spades, skip this one, and then pick up the next two consecutive, skip the next two, and pick up the next, and so forth, okay? So that will give you your special grouping at the end. Okay. Now, I think what I may have done in the presentation, the routine already created for Bessey Sequences of Order 32, is I had it pre-set up with special cards in these positions from the start. And so that way, and you can display it for the spectator, and they won't see anything. They'd have to stare at it for quite a while to actually detect any kind of real structure in it. Because look at these zeros and ones. I mean, it'll take you a minute to go and see, is there any kind of structure there? There is, but it probably won't be perceived very quickly, okay? And so with these 32 cards, you can now put it through tremendous, quote, randomization dictated by the spectator. And then when you're done, you can divide these cards into two groups of 16 cards each. Okay, so I'll just kind of pretend I've done that. So here's 16 of those, and here's the other 16. So we divided the packet, okay? And then you bring out your, quote, written prediction and show that the identities of the cards in each pile match the two groupings that you've listed on your piece of paper. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so what is the surprisal value for this particular routine? Well, let's come back to our Desmos activity here. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll use the sliders and we'll move the first slider over to 32. And then we're selecting, quote, 16 cards at a time because we divided the 32 cards into half, 16 cards in each. So how many combinations are there of 32 objects taken 16 at a time? Well, it's 601,080,390. Well, the probability that we would just randomly guess on our piece of paper the final groupings here would be 1 divided by that, because there's only one particular grouping that will agree with the one we have here. And here's the probability, and once again, it's so small that it's hard to interpret that. So what we do is we calculate the surprisal value for that probability or random event. And what we find is the surprisal value associated with this performance is 29.16 bits. Okay, so once again, the interpretation will be the same. The level of surprise in witnessing a successful completion of this performance is the same level of surprise one would experience in witnessing 29 fair coins being tossed high into the air and then having that person predict that all 29 coins will land heads up. And they do. Each and every one of those 29 coins lands heads up. So that's the level of surprise one would experience in witnessing this performance here, or other ones that I've shown on my channel dealing with Bessey Sequences of Order 32. And as before, we have the Surprisal graph. Here it is. It hits a maximum, of course, at 16. So we can see it right. Let me expand this here. Come over here. So right at 16, which is what we're looking at, 2 piles of 16. That's the maximum Surprisal value possible when selecting a group of cards from this set of 32 cards. Okay, so that gives you a feel for the Surprisal value of really all of the Bessey sequence performances that are done on the Hidden Structures channel. Okay, and so now you have concrete Surprisal calculations and a concrete way of interpreting these in terms of ordinary coin tosses. Isn't that amazing? And finally, here is a summary of the Surprisal values that we've calculated. For Bessey Sequences of Order 8, the Surprisal is 6.13 bits. For quasi-Bessey Sequences of Order 16, it's 13.65 bits. And for Bessey Sequences of Order 32, it's 29.16 bits. I want to point out that the Surprisal value associated with being struck by lightning is about 18 bits. So what that would mean then is that the Surprisal associated with a Bessey Sequence of Order 32 performance is not far off of the Surprisal value associated with being struck by lightning twice during your life. So that is a huge Surprisal value, and consequently a tiny probability that that event could happen by chance alone. And the other interpretation that we gave that's quite fun is the 6 bits for Bessey Sequences of Order 8 is the level of surprise associated with scoring 100% on a true-false quiz for which you did not study and you randomly guessed answers. For quasi-Bessey Sequences of Order 16, it's similar to a 14 true-false question quiz in which you nail it even though you randomly guessed on all of the answers. You had no clue. And the Surprisal value of 29 bits for Bessey Sequences of Order 32 is the same level of surprise one would experience in acing a 29-question true-false quiz without having studied at all, and you just randomly guessed each and every one of the answers. But nonetheless, you got all of them correct. So that would be another interpretation for 29 bits of Surprisal. So thank you for watching, and in the next video we will take a look at additional examples of Surprisal that arise for performances that have or will be shared on the Hidden Structures channel. So thank you again for watching.